watching the Batter Fans Network.
The heroes are back. Beards talking balls, rapping pink and black. Coming live from the 305, it's official tissue. The Batter Fam, Chris and Dan, weekly rocking with you. We talk Messi, Boosie, Jordy, Lucho, the Fab Four, to Ben Cram, Noah, Ruiz, Fred. What more could you ask for? Tighten up and get ready, listen in on the pod. Solana and X in Espanol, just to even the odds. Breakdowns and gas bagging, join the tribe and just vibe. Free 99, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't hesitate, say what's up, go ahead and come in. No question about it, I'm ready to get hurt again.
No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Chris, the Heroes are back. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 342 of the Better Heroes Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Uganada, and alongside me, as always, Mr. KBD. How are you doing, sir?
We're just a couple days away from a big game. Knicks play at 6:30.
Oh,
you kidding me?
Are you going to miss that? Because we're going to be doing a post game at that time.
Yeah, I know. It's rough. It's rough.
Or should I get another co-host for that?
You might have to, because if I might be multitasking.
Yeah. All right. But the biggest game so far of the regular season in Cleveland, which I think is interesting. And we're going to talk to our guest about that, because I feel like Columbus fans, I mean, I know they were upset about it when it was first announced, and I'm sure that they haven't gotten any happier about it since then. But biggest game of the season so far, regular season-wise at least. Chris, are you excited about playing against Columbus? We've all come to know that Ohio, whether it be Cincinnati or Columbus, for some reason on Twitter at least, the few people that talk on Twitter completely hate us. So are you excited to see if we can get this going again?
What's up to Hazel Lopez? I am excited. Let me tell you, I feel really bad for Columbus fans that have to travel to Cleveland. Like,
I have a feeling we're gonna ask our guest. I have a feeling there's not gonna be a lot of Columbus fans traveling just because of how upset they probably are.
Well, I mean, lower.com field is like not bad. It looks beautiful. Like, this would have been a really nice game to play in Columbus. What are we doing? That
Columbus, like, Ohio State plays in
Columbus.
Columbus.
And Harmony gonna do the halftime, show? What's happening?
They could have had an even bigger stadium in Columbus. They could have just moved it to the college football stadium. But look, and then Tommy's saying that the weather's going to be pretty crappy. I don't know. I'm excited though, because this is fun.
Super cringe by Columbus Crew posting football helmets.
I saw
that.
That
was mad
stadium.
Cringe. That's mad cringe, Danny.
Why?
Yes, it is. Because what are you doing football with football? Like, get out of here, man.
It's a play on words. Oh, you're a cornball. They're getting creative.
No, I get it. I understand what they're doing there. I understand it, but like, first of all, soccer people don't like football. Like, American
That's not true.
Football.
I'm a soccer person and I love football.
I think that there's certain look. I just want to say this: people want respect on football, not football.
Don't be that guy.
I'm not that guy. I'm actually the other side of that guy.
My last question before we bring on our guest: do you feel or expect there to be rotation, knowing that we have the Champions Cup game next Thursday against Vancouver? Because there hasn't been much rotation up until now.
Well, listen, that's the thing, right? Like, I would like rotation, but we know we're not going to get it.
I think we finally might. Not with Messi. Messi will play 90 minutes. But I think you might get it. I think you might get Busquets resting. I think Suarez might only play 60 minutes. I guess that's not technically rotation, but I think that some of the guys will come off early. But
possibly. I mean, look, Esteban Dito, they should have crossed out the word football for football to start with. And look, Esteban Dito, he is a football connoisseur, okay? So, like, I feel his part. I don't like them mixing the helmets with football. That's it. That's my point.
All right. So, moving on from your horrible
take. The Cleveland
take.
Browns aren't even that good.
The Cleveland Browns have been better recently. They screwed themselves because it felt like they were in an upward trajectory, and then they decided to throw it all away on Deshaun Watson. But whatever, we could do that on another day. But joining us today, as you hear the police sirens, because we're bringing on a Columbus guest, we got Nate from For the Crew podcast joining us. What's going on, Nate? How
What's
are
up,
you doing,
guys?
sir?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting our podcast onto this show. Just some couple things. You're 100% right about Cleveland Browns. They screwed themselves with the Deshaun Watson contract.
Absolutely.
So I agree with that 100%. We got
How's
a
the
lot.
how are the fans feeling about him being moved to Cleveland?
2 hours and 8 minutes away.
Yeah. So my dad was a Cleveland Brown season ticket holder when I was a kid.
Okay.
And we made that
Oof.
trek many
Sorry.
times. Yeah,
At least 8
it
times
was.
a year. Okay, it's not bad. But 8 times a year is not bad.
Yeah, and the weather was great September through October, but for all my Ohio people, they know how it is up here. We just now got sun and good weather for maybe a couple days. We'll see what happens. But the point being, we as Crew fans, the Save the Crew thing, in my opinion, is a totally different thing than this. There's a lot of online reaction that's like, oh, this is Save the Crew 2.0. The problem that I have with that is this is totally a money grab by our owners. It's seizing the opportunity that Messi brings. And I'm sure you guys as Miami fans are aware of that.
Oh, for sure.
We saw it with like Kansas City last year. They moved it to Arrowhead. So they were trying to seize the opportunity with that.
But couldn't they have moved it to the Ohio State Stadium?
Well, that was one of the first things that popped up online was, oh, can we just play at Ohio Stadium? That'd be amazing because you got a 100,000 seat stadium. Yeah. It's a historic venue for college football, but it's too narrow. We would have a situation like we have at Yankee Stadium Field. And I think you guys might agree with this, but for the Crew, we do not play well when the field is that small. It totally throws off the formations that we play, the style that we want to play with possession. Because with a field that narrow, I've noticed over the last couple of years that we just don't play well with a narrow field. It completely debilitates the attack because they can't send the ball back and then send it out to the wings and go wide. So that's not so much an option because the field just doesn't cater to it. And then Ohio State, I believe it was back in 2010, they put AstroTurf down. So it's more synthetic turf. It doesn't play well for soccer. The product itself wouldn't have been very good in my opinion. So there was a lot of issues with Ohio Stadium. My opinion, I thought it'd been really cool if they played at historic Crew Stadium because it would have given us 5,000 to 8,000 more seats if you put temporary seating in. Getting Messi into the first soccer specific stadium in the country would have been really cool. But I digress. That's just not realistic in the current situation that MLS is in. But that's a pipe dream for me personally.
143 miles, Danny, to travel.
Well, and before I ask you, how many people do you think are actually traveling? Because I'm sure that there's some fans that refuse to go because of this. But somebody just said here that you look like a guy that goes out of his way for friends, aka you look like the nicest guest we've ever had. And you've only been on here for like 2 minutes, but Nate just comes off as that. You got that nice guy vibe.
Shoot, I'll take it.
My name
He
is
said,
Dave.
shoot, look at this guy. This guy's adorable. I love this guy.
Yeah, he says he's the kind of guy to genuinely care about how I'm doing.
Yeah, man.
And Upcode is saying
hear that.
Nate would drive you to the airport. He might drive you to Cleveland.
He might drive you to Cleveland.
If you want to go to Cleveland, I'll take you. That's my second
Nate
home.
over Ty. Shout out to Ty from the Wise Men podcast. There was a comment that I wanted to put up real quick, but I lost it. But okay,
what was it?
So season ticket holders, how did that work as far as the tickets? Oh, and for the person said that the shirt is fire, batterfans.com. Nate.
So I'm a season ticket holder in the South End. For anybody that's not a Columbus fan, the South End is obviously opposite of the Nordeca. It's assigned seating, no supporter section. For us, we noticed last year when the Champions Cup was going on, there was terms and conditions that were involved where the game might be moved to Cleveland.
Right.
If we played Miami in the semifinals, which not great. I mean, high stakes game. I wouldn't want to go to Cleveland, even though I love the city itself. My family's up there. It's great from that regard. But they kind of buried it in terms and conditions. The problem as a 2025 season ticket holder is those terms and conditions were still there. And they kind of buried it. And as kind of collectively as Crew fans, we were like, if this was a friendly, if this was a non-messy game, if this was not obviously a money grab, cool, grow the fan base. I don't know if you guys listened to our most recent episode, but I was kind of talking about how there's a wedge of soccer market available between USL teams, MLS teams in the Northeast Ohio area. And if you present it a different way, that's a totally valid thing. But they buried it, and then all of a sudden it was thrust on us as fans. The front office and the supporters group have kind of been at odds many times, and it just hasn't been going well. So
That's
it's
rough.
From a fan perspective, as a season ticket member perspective, it's just been, I just really don't want to deal with it. I'd rather go to the bar and watch with friends and, if the weather's good enough, grill out or smoke something and watch the game at home, because it's just easier than driving 2 hours.
And
so you're not going to go.
I don't plan on it because it's Easter weekend, which on top of that, terrible
That's
schedule.
right. It is Easter weekend. That's right.
4:30 kickoff time is the only redeemable quality of that, in my opinion, because I can still get home before midnight. But yeah, I just don't feel like doing it because then I got to do the full family thing the next day. My wife and I go to church, so on top of that, it's like I just don't feel like doing it because it's
WrestleMania weekend for those of you that like wrestling.
That's
so
huge.
There's so much going on, even outside of sports. That's like this just isn't worth my time, even though it's a massive game for our relative teams, and it's just like it's a failure by our team and B, the league, because it just doesn't look good to the league, in my opinion.
It's just it's like you said, it's a complete money grab. Let's sell Messi, take him to Cleveland, close to the water. It's going to be beautiful on commercial, little breaks when you have broadcasters talking and they show the bay and
the B-roll.
That's all that stuff's going to be gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
But this, as far as yeah, go ahead, Danny.
I was gonna say I wouldn't be so hard on the owners of the team just because I feel like all the teams are doing it, right? And like here in Miami, for example, everybody kills Jorge Mas and David Beckham and everybody because they're saying that they're milking us. The whole league is doing this. Like every chance they get to take. So like they're like, oh, my ownership doesn't care. No ownership cares about their fans. They care about the bottom line.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you take this opportunity? You're talking. If you tell a kid, hey, go set up this lemonade stand here down the road, you'll make $10 an hour for 5 hours. Instead of up the road, you'll make $5 over the course of 5 hours. They're obviously going to do the $10 one.
Of course.
They've dangled, and this is nothing as your ownership, but they've dangled the bag in front of teams for 30 odd weekends a year. So get it while you can, because it is the stock market investment of MLS at this point.
Yep.
Well, and look at what my name is Jeff says. Vancouver not using Messi in promotion anymore after last year. So I guess they learned sometimes. I guess they learned their lesson.
But I mean, for a Champions Cup game, you don't want half the stadium to be Messi.
Yeah.
On top of that, I feel like look, everybody is that loves football knows who Messi is, and they might want to see him because he's the greatest or whatnot.
Of course.
Like you have like a lot of like you don't have a lot of Latino Americans over there, which are the ones that are obsessed with Messi, right? You got a lot of Canadians and Asians up in Vancouver, so they might want to see Messi, but I don't think it's like when you go to like LA or New York or Texas, where there's like a lot of South Americans that are like, "Oh, I got to go see Messi."
Well, and look, Rick A saying, but with such an iconic player, how do you control that? I mean, it's not like
you can't but you don't promote it.
Well, that's the thing. You can't control it, but at the same time, like, no, listen, like I said, I think that the Columbus Stadium is gorgeous. That's one of the stadiums I'd like to go watch a game in. And I feel like they could have been able. How many people does the Columbus Stadium fit?
It is just under 21,000, and it is in the party area of downtown Columbus. So there's bars, restaurants, there's plenty of things to do for an afternoon.
Is that close
Look.
to Ohio State?
It's about a 10-minute drive.
Oh, okay. I've never been to Ohio. I have no idea. Okay.
And look, is it a smaller stadium in comparison? Yeah, but I think the fact that they have a great stadium that they can be able to field, the team and Messi, and I think it would have worked out. But
Well,
onto Cleveland.
Even without Messi playing in Leagues Cup last season, I've been to Stanley Cup playoff games. I've been to every NFL playoff or every sports playoff game except NFL for obvious reasons. But that game against Miami last year in Leagues Cup without Messi,
That comeback.
and this is including the Ohio State National Championship that I went to in Atlanta this year, it was 100% one of the best atmospheres I've been in. And you don't get that in a 60,000 seat stadium.
Yeah, no, you
I
don't.
think that
You
game
lose
was-
it.
That game
You do.
in late September was the same also, right? One where
Mhm.
Miami clinched the Super Supporter Shield. That game was rocking also in Columbus. So
Mr. Krabs with
So-
a real. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So, yeah,
I'm
it's
glad
just,
Cucho is gone now, so we don't have to hear Danny glaze him. I'm a big Cucho fan, so people weren't happy that every time I had Columbus on here, we were talking Columbus, I would glaze Cucho.
How could you not?
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
with you.
it's
I'm with
Cucho. Listen, he should have been the striker for us when Danny was asking for it.
Yeah,
Hey, but now we got Gazdag, so we'll see how that goes.
We're gonna get into that.
all right. So let's get to on the pitch stuff. Columbus lost Christian Ramirez, lost Cucho. For a second, we thought we were you're gonna lose Arson. He ended up staying. I didn't speak to you before the season, but I did speak to a few Columbus people before the season, and they did think that the team was going to take a dip. Not that they wouldn't make the playoffs, but they wouldn't be at the top of the table. But
Yeah.
they are yet to lose a game. How do you feel about the start of the season, and are you surprised at all?
I would say I'm a little surprised. I think there's not really an asterisk, but there's a caveat to our season where we haven't played any of the best teams in the East. We haven't played Miami, Charlotte, Cincinnati yet, and those are all coming within the next month.
Yeah,
There's a huge test for our team. We are just now, I would consider, fully healthy. I haven't looked at the updated injury report, but we've had some defensive injuries that we've been battling through. But overall, the season as a whole, the biggest question was, where are the goals going to come from?
Yeah,
It was kind of a meme in the Crew subreddit of, oh, where are the goals going to come from? And they're like, oh, I told you so. We were going to score goals. You don't know that till the season starts. I did not expect us to be at a +6 differential with 12 scored and 6 conceded. It was not on my radar that that's how we would start the season.
yeah.
So I am pleasantly surprised. I think that we've done not overachieved, but I think we have played up to Nancy's coaching standard at this point with the players we have.
So just to give everybody watching an idea, the first game you won this season was against Chicago, but that was a weird game, right? It was a weird giveaway by Chicago in the back that led to an easy goal.
It
Yeah,
was
and
such a
then it was
mess.
an own goal. So I felt like
Mhm.
it probably rightfully should have been a draw, but you guys ended up scoring 4. You won. Then you beat New England, which is terrible.
Mhm.
LAFC beat you 3-0 in LA. Drew 0-0 with Houston, which isn't great. Then you beat LAFC. You almost made that comeback. I thought that it was going to happen in the Champions Cup second leg. You drew with San Diego 1-1. Drew with NYCFC 0-0. You beat DC United, which is not good, 2-1. You beat Montreal, which is horrible, 2-1. And you beat St. Louis, which has absolutely no attack, even though I thought that second Klaus goal was not offside, but
Yeah.
they called it offside, and they ended up losing 2-1. So I just wanted to see, because you said that you felt like you hadn't been tested yet, and after looking at those games, yeah, I mean, I guess
I can see
how
it.
you say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we haven't played a complete team is the overarching theme. The San Diego game to me is the identifier to our actual identity as a team, because they had the red card. That was an absolute horrible foul by Edmondson. I think it was in the 60th minute. We should have lost that game. I'm just going to be real. That game should have been a 2-1 loss. San Diego pressed really hard in the final 20, 30 minutes of that game, and we somehow pulled out a draw. That is the most indicative game of Nazi's coaching ability, in my opinion, on the schedule so far. So I'm really looking forward to the coming weeks just to see what we can do as a team. We know we can score. Our defense is healthy. Chaberko, I think, is playing up to his Champions Cup level that he did last season. So the next month is going to be really big for our team.
Well, and I want to mention something here, Danny, because look, Matt Brooks is chiming in. Nancy could make a college team competitive in MLS. That's how good he is. For the last couple years, like the glazing for Wilfred Nancy has been on another level.
But he deserves
Proven.
it, though, because
Yes, he does. He does.
well, you saw what he did
get
with
it.
Montreal, and as soon as he left, that team took a nosedive.
Yes, they're in shambles. But like you guys do have a ton of great players. Like to me, I mean, Farsi is a sleeper. Like Danny?
Easily.
I was gonna say, but like Russell Rowe, you didn't think Russell Rowe was gonna be Russell Rowe before he became.
No, I didn't think so. No.
Right.
And
like
the formation, whatever formation Nazi puts out, it either
well, let's get into that.
helps or-
What are the like? What is the style of play, and what's the formation that you guys run out in?
So
Fast people.
Yes.
That's
yeah,
what it is,
Chris.
fast
It's
people.
like he functions mainly off of fast people. If you look at Arvston, you look at Farsi. We have absolute burners on the wings.
I mean,
And it's
it's
all
illegal.
it's all about getting the ball out of the back and getting them to the wingers is what he tries to do. So this season, without Cucho, we've kind of done more of a 3-5 3, math is hard, 3-5-3 formation, most consistently, depending on who our top strikers are.
Okay.
I think with Gazdag, you might see more of a 3-5-1-2
What are we doing?
that kind of makes separation between Russell Rowe and Rossi, because they kind of function best when there's separation up top. So when it comes to Russell Rowe specifically, he's not that player without Nancy. But with Nancy, he's kind of used the top of the formation to open up the field for Russell Rowe to actually use his speed. Because just like Arston and just like Farsi, Russell Rowe functions best when he can utilize his speed. Because one of the hindrances is we don't have a lot of length. So we rely a lot on speed to beat the defender versus aerial balls with height. So that's kind of what I'm looking for with Russell Rowe, where he doesn't necessarily have to use his striking
ground
ability.
play.
Yeah, his ground play is going to use. Thank you. His ground play is going to be best for him
Because he's a taller player too. So like I imagine that he could be effective if you guys were to start, lobbing up, alley-oops to him. But like now that you guys got Daniel Gazdag, like I mean, you guys robbed Philadelphia. You guys need to send Philadelphia, like just the whole state of Pennsylvania, just cut a piece of Ohio and give it to them because you guys robbed them blind.
We'll give him Youngstown.
Do you? Well, I know you told me that. Where does he fit on this team?
Gazdag?
Anywhere around fast people.
We were kind of discussing that with our podcast group. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I think that is Nancy is going to be utilizing him wherever he wants to play until he sees what he can do on the field. To me, this is the first true experienced player that Nancy's gotten in the transfer portal, college terminology.
Good. That's
but
good.
We haven't gotten a player like this for Nancy since he's been here. We've always gotten pieces. We haven't gotten a player. So
no, this is a big piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not sure where Gazdag's going to fit in specifically, but I think you're going to discover that over the course of the next probably 5 to 6 games to see how he functions with especially Rossi, because we got a Golden Boot winner and we got a proven goal scorer on the team now that wasn't Cucho and wasn't Zelarayan. So just to be honest, I don't know where he's going to fit, but I think he's going to let him play effectively enough to see how he functions with the players that he has already.
Yeah, because he came on at halftime last game.
And was immediately effective.
Yeah. He had that goal that
Was it
called
for
back
the
for the offside. Yeah. So,
But the defensive response by St. Louis, I felt totally changed when Gazdag came on, because it was just a factor that you had to compensate for. You had to do something to cover his portion of the field, and it
they
completely
were also
changed
chasing
the
the
way
game, though.
they were. Yeah, so that was also a part of it.
Yeah.
But it opened up so much space for all the other players to do what Nancy wants them to do. So I saw a couple people say that Nancy's overrated, but
Yeah, that's wild. But there was somebody that said that if he's overrated because he's still coaching in the MLS, there's a couple things that people need to realize. If somebody calls from the Netherlands and says, "Hey, can you come coach my bottom of the table team here in the Netherlands?" Why would I leave the United States to go coach over there? Some people like a decent living. I mean, not that Netherlands isn't a decent living. I'm talking about
You're
like
about to
weather.
get shot
And
by all the
yeah, I know.
The
But I'm just saying,
Netherlandians.
like, some people like being here unless they get a good opportunity that actually attracts them.
And to your point, Danny, we saw rumors that Nancy was being looked at by Saint Etienne from France.
Yes.
You're going number 5 league out of 5 in the big 5 of Europe.
Right.
You're going a relegation side or bottom half team in League One.
Any team is a bottom half league if you're not PSG. So like
Why?
you can go. You can.
So even people want to dog on Ohio. They want to get in line with, oh, Ohio's a terrible place to be. Anywhere in the U.S., why would you leave that to go to a bottom half team where you are at risk of getting relegated? So it's one of those things. It's just like, it doesn't seem realistic to me unless one of the players are a top 10 team. Yeah. It's got to be a
the
good
Netherlands is fantastic. I apologize for putting the Netherlands out there. It was just the first name that came to my mind. Jesus, I'm just saying that if you're playing on one of the best teams in this league, why would you go over there to coach the bottom of the barrel? Like, he's good. I'm sure he's living just fine over here.
Well, and it goes back to the point that Nate just made. Like, he was getting supposedly scouted by a place in Ligue 1. Like, a Ligue 1 is still seen as like a top 5 league. Unfortunately, I just don't get it. But I'm sure he would have made bank out there, right? He speaks the language primarily. So, like,
for the record, I'd live in Ohio before I live in Europe. That's just me, though. I don't know.
My guy.
You'd live in, yeah, I mean, I would live in Ohio right now if I could.
Miami no, that sucks. I wouldn't do. No. I wouldn't live in Ohio but I'd rather live in Ohio than live in Europe.
We're sinking right now. We're not going to be here like in 5 years. Are you kidding me?
Nate just said that he saw the sun for the first time in 3 years.
Listen, I'd rather see the sun.
In Ohio.
I'm going to be seeing Ariel from The Little Mermaid in like 3 years. So I mean,
we'll be fine. No. So going back to the pitch. Are there any players, because obviously most people, right, that watch the MLS, they know who Diego Rossi is. They know Darlington Nagbe. Are there any players that maybe aren't a household name that you think, well, while you're watching this game, look out for this player because he's going to jump out of the screen at you or he's going to be a player?
Yeah, I think, well, so our big players are like really top heavy in a way.
Right.
But I think guys like Chiberko, they've been a really good, solid center back this season. I mean, he's played really well. I think he's one to watch for. Farsi he's a big name, but he's not the name.
Everybody knows Farsi. Gressel lost his job because of Farsi.
Right. He's one to watch. He's just not the first name that comes to a lot of people's minds if you don't follow the crew specifically. I saw Matt post on the comments that Zawadzki. Do you guys know about Zawadzki being our Swiss Army knife player?
No.
Ooh, that's their Taylor.
He has played virtually every position that we need him to play, including goalkeeper.
He is Robert Taylor. Okay. Yeah. We have Robert Taylor that's done that in the past.
And he's having a really solid season. Whenever he's been on the field, he's been so reliable. So those three players are definitely ones to watch when the game comes along Saturday. But other than that, I think you got to watch for how Gozdog's utilized, because we just don't know enough. We don't have enough sample size. But those are probably the big four to watch for the Crew.
Arce would have been a huge loss when they were saying that he might leave before the season.
Oh yes.
I see Brian's talking about Arce. He would have been a huge loss. And Nate, just real quick, if you decide to go back to read the comments on this episode after the fact, just know that we have a pretty decent overseas following, and they usually just call us Americans, and they just constantly tell us how stupid we are.
Yeah.
So just so you know, don't. I hope you have thick skin, because they're just gonna say these Americans.
Oh,
don't
you're
know
good.
crap.
You're good.
So-
I worked with a Dutch fan, and I worked
Okay.
with a
Ooh, no, this-
or not Dutch fan. I worked with a Dutchman.
fitting.
He was from the Netherlands,
how funny
worked-
is that, right?
and I worked with a guy from Japan. So I know how it is. It's all good.
Yeah, no. They constantly hit me with, "Oh, these Americans don't know anything about football."
Oh,
Um,
the comment section is
Why is Nagby always on the ground for 90 minutes?
Because he gets fouled all the time.
He is the most fouled. Well, he was. I don't know if he still is the most fouled player in the league a couple seasons.
Mhm.
I don't know if he still is.
Well, and another thing too, when it comes to Nagby, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I know you're trying to take a slight at Nagby, which he's the king of MLS.
They
Don't do
were,
that.
not me, but
Not you, but so our midfield runs through Nagby. I mean, that's been how it is, whatever team he's on. So,
Yeah.
but primarily Nagby kind of dictates the ball forward or behind. So
very
the
Busquets-ish.
easiest way to disrupt the Crew is if you foul Nagby and shut down the ball movement, because it always goes through him. So that's one of the reasons why you always see him on the field. So nice try on sliding Nagby, but there's a reason for it.
Well, let me tell you, you know what that screams to me, Danny, is Yannick Bright might get a red card this game. Because Yannick Bright is our most aggressive defender, our best defender, and he controls the midfield on defense. And if Nagby is the kind of guy that's on the field for 90 minutes, and Yannick Bright really doesn't care about anybody except just destroying people, I think we might have a red card in our hands this weekend, Danny.
no. And
How
Yamila
is
saying,
that?
I was going to ask you a question, Nate,
Yeah, go
before
ahead.
you get to your point. Yamila's saying, to be frank, Danny, you guys are against ties. I hate ties.
I hate him. I hate him.
I hate them. I wish they would just go and just let us just have a shootout, just like they do in hockey. Let us get 2 points, and then the other team gets 1 point. Are you a fan of ties?
Me?
Yeah.
No. What
What American
back
likes
to-
ties, Danny?
I like the idea of doing like a probably 10-15 minute overtime and then shootout. I'd say bring back goalie wars, but that's some MLS 1.0 stuff. So
I love that.
It's part of football, but it's a dumb part of football, Yamila. But that's just me. I understand that the football purists are go and like Solana saying this episode went to hell. I'm sorry, Solana. I hate ties. Ties are amazing.
Ties are amazing. I mean,
listen
what
to
are
this
you?
guy.
What world
One
are
of the
you
few
living
things
in,
Solana's ever said
Solana?
he likes.
I want.
all I gotta say is when draws feel like losses, they aren't ties. So you win the game.
French fries and American Eagles. Solana, get out of here.
All right. So if I were to ask you, what do you believe the strength and weakness is for Columbus? What would you say? What's the strength for Columbus, and then what would be the weakness?
I think the strength for us is pretty obvious. It's the we've kind of glazed the coaching, but I'm going to keep glazing the coaching. It's the possession-based football. I think Schulte is the guy to play out of the back as keeper, and it has worked really well. And there was a reason Nazi trusted him back in 23, even after that disastrous game against Cincinnati. But we play out of the back really well. We control possession really well, and we attack with purpose. There's no crossing the ball into dead space. There's no dribbling, and then out of bounds. There's none of that. So I think those are our strengths, is the possession-based playing out of the back game. If I had to pick a weakness, we definitely do not play set pieces well.
Okay.
I cannot remember the last time we scored on a set piece that didn't involve Cucho. And it leaves us horribly vulnerable to the counterattack. Going into this game, that's my biggest worry, is getting caught on a counterattack.
Okay.
Well, you know what's I was wondering about the weaknesses, right? And you guys, in terms of fouling, are one of the teams that foul the least. There's only 2 teams ahead of you, and they're tied with 3 less fouls, and that's Orlando and LA Galaxy. So you might not see a moment where
Galaxy
Messi
don't
takes
foul because they just never are around the ball. They have horrible defenders.
And other than that, I mean, I don't think you're going to see many free kicks out of Messi. You're not going to get that Messi magic.
I just lost my train of thought when you said that. No, it's all good. While I try to get that back, I guess I'll move on to the next thing. You want to say something, Chris?
No, go ahead. Well, I was going to say also, you guys are like the lowest in shots against. The only other 2 teams are Seattle and Washington and Vancouver. I mean,
when Tata was coaching the team against Columbus, because Columbus with Nancy is so possession heavy, Tata was good just playing the counter, and it played pretty well against them the last couple of times that they played them. I'm very curious to see what Mascherano's how he's gonna approach this.
I agree, because with the Leagues Cup game, I was talking with one of my buddies about this. The Leagues Cup game without Messi was kind of, I don't want to call it an outlier, but it showed that you don't have to rely, or the moment's not too big, is what I'm trying to say. You have all these big names on Miami, and we've seen some teams kind of, drag their knuckles through the mud playing against these big names. But when they came back from 2-0 down, it just kind of showed that the moment's not too big for the players. And we're bringing these players back for, what is this, the fourth game against this Miami side?
It might be more than that. We had 3 last year. And then I think we played at the end of the 2023 season, towards the end of the season. But that one I'm not 100% sure on.
So this is the 3rd or 4th iteration of this Miami team that they've seen, but it's the first time that we've seen Mascherano. So I'm curious to see how he plays against that possession-based game, because to me it was very clear that Tata Martino had a very specific game plan going against this Crew team, and it worked, except for the one time in Leagues Cup, because I don't know what it is. Yeah, he did, and I don't know what happened, but he just Crew overcame it. So
Nancy made substitutions and Tata didn't, which had left us dumbfounded, I remember.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny too, because you saw that happen with Cincinnati in Eastern Conference Final, where they didn't make subs
the year before,
and then lost. So, but yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out, because I haven't seen a lot of a Mascherano team this season. I've watched bits and pieces.
It's more balanced.
That's what I feel like, and I feel like he manages minutes with the older players better than Tata Martino did. Is that just kind of?
He's definitely going to the subs a lot earlier, but there's really no rotation. Like Suarez is running out there 1 million minutes a game. Messi is playing every game 90 minutes. So although he is using substitutions, right, because he realized quicker than Tata that they don't roll over to the next game, he's actually using them. The older players are still running out the 90 minutes. So I really hope that doesn't cost us at the end of the year, because unlike other leagues, the games in the middle of the season are important, because if you build a nice enough cushion, you can kind of just ride out the end of the season. If you built a nice cushion, like Liverpool, for example, right now, they have a nice cushion. They're good for the last month and a half. But the most important games for us start at the end of the season, because that's when the playoffs start. So if your team is limping into the playoffs health-wise, you're screwed. So I really hope that they take that into consideration with as much as they're playing. Columbus does not play a low block. No.
Plays to our benefit too, Danny. I mean, it's going to be a little bit more spread. It's going to allow us to have a little bit more flexibility in the offense. They
play with 3 in the back, and I have a feeling those 3 are going to be really compact in that box.
I could see it.
Yeah, they're going to give us the wings, because we're not really using the wings, unfortunately. We're playing really up the middle with Messi. So we'll see. We'll see what Mascherano does if he adjusts and plays a little more wide. Because if I was Columbus, I'd just kind of congest the middle. Nate,
Yo,
let's say hypothetically you were a degenerate gambler.
I am. So give it to me.
Even better. And you decide for some reason, I'm just gonna put the house on Miami. It's just a gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game's about to start, and you start doubting it. And you're like, you know what? I need to make sure I win. So you walk over to Mascherano, because for some reason you have access to him. You get close and you whisper in his ear, "This is how you beat Columbus." What are you telling him?
Draw the foul in the attacking third.
Okay.
Okay. And Messi's good at that.
Yeah.
Luis Suarez is good at that.
It was the weakest thing that I saw in the regular season matchups last year. I had no idea what the Crew was doing against that. Or you could just tackle Messi, like he said.
Like Osvaldo said, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say draw a foul in the attacking third. I would also say you guys said use the wings. You guys haven't used the wings at all this year, or minimal.
Jordi Alba has been pushing up a little bit. Last year, the majority of our build-up play was down the left side. This year's been up the middle. Jordi Alba isn't pushing as high as consistently, and I think that's contributed to the improvement of our defense. But no, we're not using the wings as much as we usually do.
So if you could effectively implement that, and this is kind of a mouthful to say in his ear if I'm trying to win some money, but if you could effectively utilize that, I would say spread the back three. Okay. Because if you spread the back three, at some point you're going to spread the midfield, and then all of a sudden our wingers are going to be ping pong balls in the midfield where they're constantly having to go back and forth, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if they play compact like they've been trying to do our back three, and Miami plays into that,
which is what we've been doing the last couple of games.
Yes.
It's going to be a lot harder for Miami to win, and I think you're looking at more of a draw. But if they can spread the back three,
I love draws.
If you can spread the back three, I think our winger is going to be less utilized because they won't have as much space to run.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because Farsi and Arston, they play defense, but they're more recovery kind of guys. They're not like defensive juggernauts. So I think playing through the wings is going to be helpful for us, especially if Jordi Alba decides he wants to kind of attack that left side. So I think that'll be helpful.
He would be attacking Farsi side.
Yeah, against Farsi. Yep.
All right, so I think we've gotten down to the nitty-gritties. Prediction time. Nate the Great, how do you see this game ending up on Saturday, 4:30 in Cleveland? Which my understanding from what Tommy said, because he'll be at the game, he said the weather is going to be poopy.
Awful.
Yeah, I think it was going to be overcast with a chance of rain and in the 40s.
That's so terrible.
So some Stoke weather.
On a cold day in Stoke, yeah.
Yeah. So on our podcast, I said 3-1. I'm going to take an average of the four of us, and I'm going to say 2-1 Crew. I think there will be enough of a home field advantage.
Do you think that there'll be enough Columbus? Because, for example, when we played in LA against LAFC, we were doing a watch along, and during the game we got somebody in the stadium to kind of go live, and they said there might be 20% LAFC fans in here. It's like 80% is Inter Miami / Messi Barcelona fans. You don't think it's going to be like that over there in Cleveland?
I think it will, but I think of the Crew fans that are going, it's either going to be season ticket members that already have tickets, or it's going to be Crew fans that pay for the lower bowl.
Okay.
The stadium that the Browns play in is pretty cavernous.
But that's still only like 10, 15,000 out of 60,000.
Yeah, so I don't know what home field advantage will look like in Cleveland, but yeah, I think 2-1 Crew.
Okay.
I think the X factor in that situation is going to be two things. How does the Crew guard Messi? And what does Daniel Gosdog do with either a full 90 minutes or a full half. Because even though we have film on Gazdag with Philadelphia, we have a 45-minute sample size with Columbus. And that's just, even as well-seasoned coach, that's just not something you can necessarily play for or plan for, in my opinion, until you actually see it on the field.
Would you say Cleveland would lean, and this is a random question, you might think it's a stupid question. Cleveland, if I lived in Cleveland, am I more likely to be a Columbus fan or a Cincinnati fan?
No, Columbus, because Cincinnati's further south.
Yeah, it's closer.
Actually, Cincinnati, I think, is closer to Columbus than Cleveland is.
It is by about 25 minutes.
Jeez.
So, not to go too far off the rails on topic wise, but it's funny you asked that, because in Columbus, it's very interesting. We have the Crew and the Blue Jackets as far our pro teams.
Right.
But there are more people split in Columbus between Reds and Browns fans than any other team. There, you are more likely to meet a Browns and a Reds fan than a Guardians and Browns or Reds and Bengals fan.
Why?
The Big Red Machine.
So they just those fans just carried over like through generations.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
A lot of people were Browns fans, at least in my experience with people I know in the city. A lot of people were either Browns or Steelers fans, and they were Reds fans.
Yeah, Johnny Bench and all of them.
Yeah, I mean, but the Browns have been around forever, so.
Yeah, and they, back after World War II, they were winning championships, and they probably won't win one again, but we have those four to hold on to. So
yeah, listen, it's better than the Dolphins.
So
it can't be any worse than the Jets. So you said
it's not better than the Cowboys.
You said 2-1. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2-1 is the score line that we get most often on this show, right? Because it's the safest one, right? Mm-hmm. You're not blowing anybody out. You get 2 goals. See, there you go. And it's another one. 2-1. So I'm gonna go with what you said, 3-1, but I'm gonna go the other way. I don't see Miami losing to Columbus. I am interested to see, because this is the real, to me, we've been, because we do the MLS show, so we've been watching Columbus, and this is an interesting test. I'm really curious to see how this game plays out, because these are the only 2 undefeated teams in the league right now. But I can't bet against Miami just because they don't lose very often. Now, do they draw? Yes, they draw, but they don't lose very often. I love draws. So I'm going to go 3-1, Miami. Chris?
Well, I'm going to go 3-2 because my name is Jiv. Says Danny is locked into that confidence. But I see a goal fest, especially if it doesn't rain as much.
The last couple times that you've predicted goal fest, we drew
I know it
0-0.
becomes like a 1-0, 1-1, 0-0. Listen,
the weather might affect it also.
Yeah, it might. I mean, it's going to be sloppy. I see this could possibly be 3-2.
It's funny you mentioned that, Chris.
That's true.
Because the last 2 meetings were 3-2 Miami and 3-2 Columbus. So
yes, I actually saw that.
A goal fest might not be too far out of the realm of possibility, regardless of form. So
yeah,
I don't know. I definitely feel like it's a shame it's in Cleveland, simply because it's so good for the league that it's unbeaten playing each other 8 weeks into the season.
Listen. Yeah, go ahead, Nate. Sorry.
It's just, I don't know. You wouldn't get this in another league. So,
well, that's the beauty of the MLS.
Yes. I mean, and look, you mentioned a lot of goals, like you said, 3-2, 3-2. There was another meeting in June of 2024, 2-1. July 4th, 2023, 2-2. Like, dating back, there's always been at least 3 goals in each match dating back to 2022.
I was going to say, has there been a clean sheet in the series between Miami and Columbus?
In 2022 in August. In 2022 in August, you guys beat us 1-0.
Okay, so once. So
well, there's been 3. In
Okay.
2021, in October, you guys destroyed us 4-0. And
that was a really
then
bad season for us.
in September of 2021, we beat you guys 1-0.
Okay. So that was like right at the dawn of
Yeah.
the Miami Columbus battle.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah,
That's when we had for those that are still here hanging out, that's when we had Robbie Robinson, which I don't know if you guys saw online. He retired today, medically
Our
retired.
first ever draft pick.
Yeah.
So we drafted him second overall, I think it was, in 2020, and he retired 5 years later. So that's how that went.
Yeah, and I hope you guys in the chat feel bad about what you guys called Robbie Robinson. Those names. Okay, I'm looking at you.
All right, Chris, do you want to go over, because Nate, you, like I said, as soon as you got on here, everybody said what a nice guy you look like, and they started just flooding the comment section with a bunch of examples of how nice you are. Chris, I don't know, I saw you were starring them. I don't know if you want to go through them for Nate. Maybe Nate could pick his favorite.
I'll go through them. So we'll start from beginning to the most recent, right? I mean, I think you saw this one. Nate would find you the last Pokemon you need for your collection and take it to you. Rick A. Nate would help you move a sofa to a new apartment on the 4th floor, no elevator. Nate number 1 so far by Hazel. And I think this is where we left off right here, where you genuinely care how people are doing. And then Mike V says that you would stand in the Apple iPhone line so you can get the latest version for someone. Need a kidney? Nate's your guy. Okay, Nate would let you get ahead of him at the grocery store if you have a couple items less than him. I definitely see that for sure.
damn, this is kind of embarrassing because I've done a couple of those things.
Oh no, you're gonna lose. Oh man, that's good though. There's a past behind it. Hopefully there's not one with this one. Mr. Crown says, yeah, that you'd help hide a dead body. You'd give Mike V says you give somebody the last cold beer.
I've done that.
You've never got my name is Jeff. Says Nate has never gotten mad, just disappointed.
Oh,
and
man.
that it looks more hurtful to be feeling disappointed by him. Okay.
Yeah.
And Rick A says, Nate, stand watch while you sleep and roll you over if you're snoring. And really means it when he says, have a nice day. Nate's definitely shopping and dropping a 20 at a lemonade stand. Nate can find the good in the Cleveland Browns. Nate forgives LeBron for leaving the Cavs. Do you forgive LeBron? Oh my goodness.
I feel
the
exposed.
the kind of guy to respectfully clap when Miami beats the Crew. That you clap when the airplane lands.
Oh, I don't know about that one. I have not done that one.
and just to squeeze something completely different here, Rick A says Danny DM'd me and said he'd rather live in Ohio than in Miami. Batter Columbus show coming next week. Host Daniel Granada. My name is Jeff. I backed into Nate's car and he apologized to me. Can we get back to Nate being in the friend zone in every rom-com ever? And then Rick A says he plays the friendly and wise neighbor in every sitcom. If Suarez bit Nate, he'd apologize for getting blood on his teeth. Nate splits 3 tacos, 1 for him, 2 for his friend, even though he's pretty hungry. Hold on. I think Nate would give you inside betting info in exchange for a high five.
Heck yeah.
And then the last one, Nate would hold a sign at the stadium that says both teams are trying really hard.
I think those are all gold. I'm going to choose the very last one that you said because I have been to too many sporting events as a neutral fan.
And that's good. That's good.
For that one. Is that hard?
This one I forgot. I didn't start this one. Nate will walk 30 miles to get you fresh water to brush your teeth.
All right. So
1000% fact, Soccer Daddy.
Amazing chat you will not find anywhere. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Shout out to you, chat. Shout out to you.
That was prime. I love that.
The chat's always on point. We appreciate everybody on here. Chris, I don't know if you want to hit Nate with a couple questions before we get out of here.
All right,
Hey,
you
got
got to
time?
make some.
Okay, I was about to ask Nate for his
It's-
permission, but sure, just
do
throw
you-
the meat on his face. Go ahead.
Do you have time? Do you have time, Nate? 5 minutes.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay,
do it.
we're gonna run through it. 5 pieces of meat on your face, and you got to pick one along with a toast on the bottom.
2 for the meat and
Ooh,
3 for the
okay, you're
toast.
bold.
A little
see.
red. Okay.
I actually had 2 meat. I had what is it, filet mignon earlier. I grilled. I made it around 2.
Is your jaw sore?
No, that's the way you eat steak, Danny. What are you, a 5?
No, I need a 3. I need a 3.
All right, we're making sandwiches here, Nate. Which way do you cut it, diagonally or vertically?
Can I give a complicated answer?
Sure.
Sure.
Diagonally for a meat sandwich, straight down for a PB&J.
Wow. Is there a reason why?
No, it's just for some reason I'm weird, and that's how I've always done it.
You know what happens to weird-looking guys? You just made the list.
Talking about weird looking guys, I go grocery shopping and I pull the shopping cart. Okay.
Yeah.
Other people push the shopping cart. Are you a pusher or a puller?
I'm a pusher because I was pulling it the other day when I was at the store, and I asked myself, "What the heck am I doing?"
Almost ran over a baby, probably.
It was going one direction, I was going the other. It was bad.
Now, I don't know if you've
And
ever.
Soccer
been a-
Daddy, I did not say Nate is weird. Nate said Nate is weird.
I said I was
Yeah.
weird. Also, that says Nate is wired, and that's kind of
Yeah.
true. So
Yeah, and he's wired. So
All right.
I don't know how big you are into boy bands or if you heard any in the past, but you got to make a pivotal decision here. We got 2 groups of men, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. Who are you picking here?
in sync.
Yeah.
Oh
let's go, Daddy.
no! Wait.
Let's
Are you
go.
choosing NSYNC or are you choosing Justin Timberlake?
Yes.
Yes. That's it. Yes. That is the perfect answer. Yes.
Come on, man. It's
Is
Backstreet
Super
Boys all
Mario
day.
is Super Mario a superhero?
Is Super Mario a superhero?
This is big.
I'm gonna.
This is big.
Uh,
You might lose some Nate points.
oh man, I feel like this is the biggest question, isn't it?
This might be. This might be.
You know what?
Oh, might be.
I'm gonna
Get outta here.
say yes, because my wife and I watched the Super Mario Brothers movie,
Absolutely.
and he was the hero in that movie.
Absolutely. And when he throws a star, he's messing everybody up.
Destroys the whole town.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was a-
You know,
In his Tim boots.
Soccer Daddy. Okay, here's another one. Is Batman a superhero?
If Super Mario is, Batman has to be, right?
yeah.
Batman's not a superhero though, Danny. He's a Lowe's Home Depot customer.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
He is
That's a lot of
he is a priority Home Depot customer. That's what he is.
Yeah.
The Batcave doesn't build itself, Chris.
I mean, he's rich. He's rich.
Yeah.
He's rich. He can pay for
so-
all of that.
So it might build itself, but
All right. Can zombies swim?
no.
Correct.
They just pile on each other.
Yeah.
But
Mhm. they
Alright.
build a
Uh,
bridge.
Yeah. And then my last question: if you are eating cereal and you get done with all the cereal, what do you do with that last little bit of milk left over? Do you dump it or do you slurp it?
Oh, come on, Danny. That's an easy question. You pour more cereal.
Ah, well, okay, yes. I'm sorry.
everybody finds that loophole.
Yeah, but there's not enough for more cereal. It's just a little bit left.
Oh, okay. Then you slurp it. Nothing goes to waste.
No, it's nothing but sugar.
Nah, Danny,
it.
you're worthless.
I dump
You're
it.
worthless.
Nothing goes
You're
to waste,
terrible.
man.
I dump it. All right. Well, Nate, appreciate you having some fun with us. You were awesome. And the worst of luck to you on Saturday. Let everybody know where they could find you, Nate, if they want to hear a little more about Columbus.
Yeah. So I'm a part of a podcast for the crew. We're on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. We're on Instagram. We are on Blue Sky, and hopefully we'll be on YouTube at some point this summer, but we'll reevaluate that as it goes. So, yeah, I'm Nate, and I'm with For the Crew podcast. So find us on our socials, and we'll see you there. Also, if you're in Columbus, I'm the redhead walking around. There's not a lot of us, so if you find me in Columbus, ask me to get a beer, and we'll get one. So,
Absolutely. How is the pregame in Columbus?
pregame's great, man. We got so I park in a parking garage. It's kind of halfway between a bunch of restaurants and breweries. So I park there, walk to a bunch of places, and then we have a place called Betty's.
So it's not like a tailgate type of thing. It's like restaurant stuff like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have both actually. We have our supporters group tailgate in the north lot, and then we have a couple other fan specific tailgates that just people set up in their cars. So we got a good culture down here. I think it's a benefit to have Ohio State because we have people that do that for OSU games, and that's the only thing they do for OSU games is tailgate. So it's I think it's an advantage in that regard. So we got a good little bit of everything.
After this podcast, we now know Daniel loves ties, hates Walters.
Yeah, I think he does hate Walters.
I love Walter. Where's Walter? Walter didn't join us today.
Shout out to Walter, man.
We miss you, Walter.
Where are you,
worry about Chris
Walter?
picking on you.
What was that picking on him?
Chris. Nate, again, much appreciated. I appreciate you having fun with us. Chris, do you have any final words?
I'm ready for the game this weekend. It's going to be a good one.
I am too. I'm hoping for a win, but I'm just excited to see these teams play each other. So
yeah, I think as of right now, even though again, like much like you said, I think Columbus, we're gonna feel even better about it when Columbus gets tested and proves that they are legit. But I think top 3 teams in the league right now are Miami, Vancouver, and Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I think that's just the way we're at right now. I think Charlotte's up there, but I think those are the 3 clear cut, and Miami plays both of them in the next couple of days. So for Miami, it's going to be really fun.
Yep.
Chris, did you walk away to grab something, or are we good?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. All right. We appreciate everybody listening on audio. If you listened all the way to the end, please leave us 5 stars, comment, review, all that good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. And for those of you in the chat, we don't just say it, we really mean it. You guys are the best part of the show. We appreciate you hanging out with us for the last hour and 3 minutes. And we will be back on Saturday for the post game. And hopefully we're celebrating a 3-1 victory. Regardless, we'll be back here. And I don't know. I'm still trying to see if the Yankee tickets are going to be cheap for Saturday. I'm trying to go to Tampa to watch them. But if they're still expensive, I'll be on here for the post game. So we'll see. Regardless, there'll be a post game show. So until the next one, have a good one.